So will add competition at centre-back and left-back. Now, at the same time, Chelsea agree with UEFA to balance the books and balance their transfer spending this summer. They were fined by UEFA earlier on this summer, as were Aston Villa, and they've agreed to certain financial measures to be in place. They're unable to register new players to play in Europe unless they have a positive transfer balance by the end of the transfer window. So basically, they need to show they've made more money from player sales than they've spent on signing players. And that is why there is a real priority in terms of outgoings in this window as well.
There's a long list as well. I'll quickly run through some of the live ones at the moment with regard to Chelsea. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. We told you earlier on in the window that Fulham were having a look at him, but it looks like now Everton are in the driving seat, firmly in the driving seat, because Everton have agreed a deal with Chelsea worth £29 million, including performance-related add-ons. We think the initial fee is around £25 million. So that one looks like it's edging closer. Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall could be on his way to Everton. And then there's a couple of players who could be going from Chelsea to Burnley. First of all, Armando Broja. He is another player who could be on his way out from Stamford Bridge. Burnley remain in talks with Chelsea over the signing of Armando Broja. There's a broad agreement, we're told, on many aspects of that deal, but discussions are centering right now on the structure of how that fee is going to be paid. There is, though, significantly a willingness from the player, from both clubs, to strike an agreement. And the reason we know that is because personal terms on a 5-year contract, they're not expected to be a problem for Armando Broja. The other player who is much closer to joining Burnley is Leslie Ugachukwu, the midfielder. Now, that deal has been agreed on a permanent basis. We think that he's agreed a 5-year contract in principle with Burnley, and a medical is due in the next 24 to 48 hours. So that one looks like it could be happening sooner rather than later. So 2 players, you'd think Broja and Ogachukwu, on their way to Burnley from Chelsea. A number of other players could be departing Chelsea as well. Mark Guiu, we spoke about him last week, on his way to Sunderland. He was supposed to fly in for a medical over the weekend. That flight got postponed, and we thought, is that deal in danger? Our colleague up in the northeast, Keith Downey, assures us no problem at all. That deal is still set to go ahead, so he should be joining Sunderland. And they're also listening to offers for Raheem Sterling, who of course was on loan at Arsenal last season. Didn't really work out for him. Come back to Chelsea. He's entered the final 2 years of his contract. Simply not in the plans for Enzo Maresca. And another player who's not in the plans for Enzo Maresca is Carney Chukwuemeka. So they're listening to offers for him as well. So you can see, even though we are always talking about Chelsea spending so much money during these transfer windows, they are fantastic, it seems, at selling as well.
Do they have to get rid of all those players?
I mean, financially, it would help. I don't think it's compulsory that they do, but I think it's more for the makeup of the squad. I don't think Enzo Maresca wants to be in a situation where he's got 25 players in a first-team squad and another 20 players who could be in a first-team squad training separately from the first team because he feels that they're not part of the plans. So it's rather get them out, get the money in, but really release the squad space as well so that he can work with the players that he wants to.
Yeah. Ben Chilwell's still there as well on a significant contract as well. At the end of last season, the start of last season, Enzo Maresca was in a situation where you had pretty much 2 squads. You had the so-called bomb squad, and actually players like Trevor Chalobah have ended up coming back into the first team. He's been really impressive what he's done. But Chelsea want to be in a situation whereby they're not having all these players who are no longer in the first team plans but still on the books. So financially, yes, they want to get these players in, but also, as Dharma said, logistically, you don't want to be having that many players. Graham Potter was there at one point and there were players sitting on the dressing room floor because there weren't enough seats. Chelsea aren't quite in that situation, but they do need to balance the books to fit within what UEFA want them to do. And clearly from a PSR point of view, but as Dharma said, they've sold so well. Some of the sales they've made over the course of the last few years means they're in no danger when it comes to any Premier League sanctions.
João Felix, didn't he? He went for nearly 50 million.
Yeah.
They do sell well.
Yeah. Like Chelsea.